Alright, so what is up guys? In today's video, I really want to break down the top 15 of the draft that's coming up next week. So without further ado, let's jump right in. If you like this video, make sure you drop a like. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe because I post a ton of videos related about hockey. And let's just be honest here for a second guys, hockey is freaking awesome. So let's jump right in. And I think this draft starts at number 3 because it's pretty clear for me that the Buffalo Sabres, so let's get this board up and ready. The Buffalo Sabres will draft Rasmus Dahlin. Of course, he's the best franchise demon available. We've never seen a prospect like him for the past 10, 15, 20 years. So I think it's just a no-brainer for the Buffalo Sabres, and they need help everywhere. So it just makes sense for them to pick Dahlin as well, and I think can make an immediate impact with them next year. Now, at number 2, it's pretty clear as well, the Carolina Hurricanes, that they were going to draft Svechnikov unless a crazy trades happen, and it makes sense. He's a sniper, he's elite. He scored a lot of goals in the OHL last year. It just makes sense, and I think he's NHL ready, so I think he's going to have an impact next year. Could slide into a top 6 role right away. And I think they do need either a center or a winger because their defensive prospect pool is great, but they need some extra firepower to help, Teravainen and Sebastian Aho up front. So I think it makes a lot of sense as well for them to pick Svechnikov. Now at number 3, this is where it gets really tricky because the Montreal Canadiens could go, I think, 4 or 5 different players at number 3. They definitely need help at center and they need help on defense as well. So I think it makes sense if they pick either a centerman or a defenseman. So even though in my mind Zadina is the best player available at number 3, I don't necessarily know if they go for him. I think they go pick the Finn, Kotkaniemi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm sorry if I'm not. If you're Finn, I'm so sorry. But I think they still pick him at number 3 because he's the best center in my mind available. His numbers in Liga were really, really great. Very close to what Rantanen did. And he just had 84 points this year. Yes, he played with McKinnon, but still, impressive, and we should notice that. So that's why I think it's a bit of a long-term project considering some other prospect in this top 10, but I think in 2 or 3 years he can be that dominant center that the Montreal needs him to be. So at number 4, the Ottawa Senators will just gladly pick Zadina. I think, like I said, he was the best player available at number 3. I think if they don't trade Carson with Chabot and Carson, they're good for now on the defensive side of things, so they can definitely just get that winger because they drafted, White, and they have Brown, they have, of course, Duchesne now as the number 1 center. So I think it makes sense for them to pick a winger, and if Zadina is available at number 4, they'll not even blink and they'll draft Zadina because he's the best player available at 4. Now at number 5 for the Arizona Coyotes, this also is a bit tricky for me because yes, they have some star power up front. They just signed OEL to an 8-year extension. They have Quinton and they have Joseph that down the road will be great in my mind as well. So I think it makes sense for them to either pick another winger or a center or a right-handed defenseman, right? Because you never have too much of those. So I think they go Boqvist for the reason that his amazing upside could be an Erik Karlsson-like player, a Klingberg player, but I think he's a little more of a long-term project, 2-3 years down the road as well. But I think he's the best, most offensive upside rent. But I think it's just probably the best right-handed defenseman in this draft. His upside is huge. His numbers were impressive. So I think they just go for the right-handed defenseman. At number 6, this pick makes a lot of sense for me. I think the Detroit Redwings will draft. I think they will draft Quinton Hughes just because of the fact that he's from Michigan. He plays in Michigan. And not only is from Michigan, but he's just the best player available at number 6 in my mind. His speed is definitely top 3 in the draft. He's elite. Can definitely quarterback any sort of power play. Is he going to play another year with Michigan? Maybe. That doesn't really bother me because I think in 3 years he's definitely going to be NHL ready. Is really close. Is he going to be next year? We quite don't know just yet. I think he's going to do like a Zach Werenski type of year next year in Michigan, point per game, and then come back and have a really dominant rookie season as well. Now at number 7 for the Vancouver Canucks, I think they're just going to follow that trend that I'm trying to predict of defensemen going back and forth. So they're going to select Evan Bouchard, just that right-handed shot defenseman, 87 points with London, was the captain of this team, definitely shows some leadership role, and everything that I just mentioned is much needed in Vancouver. They need a right-handed shot because their prospect forward pool is decent enough. Peterson, Godad coming in next year and stepping up, and Brock Besser is already an elite sniper. So I think it makes sense for them to pick a right-handed defenseman. Now at number 8, the Chicago Blackhawks, I think their need is they need either a winger or a defenseman, but I double-checked they have Mitchell, Chad Chris. They have a good, amount of defensive prospects. So I think they can go the route of Oliver Wahlstrom. Definitely his release is elite. He's a great shooter, but a great playmaker as well. We've seen him play for the USHL this year. He was great. It was great in U18 as well. So I think it just makes sense for the Blackhawks to pick the best player available, not necessarily defenseman, because I think if all the guys I just mentioned are gone, they're going to go for Wahlstrom just because he's definitely the best player available at number 8. So at number 9, the New York Rangers will be happy that Brady Tkachuk fall, and they'll just select him at number 9 because I think he's going to be the best player available. I think he's NHL ready or very close to be. I just think his upside is not necessarily as great as the other top 8. Right, so that's why I kind of think he's going to fall down because, yes, he plays with guts. He's an amazing, he's a power forward, but I don't think he has that first-line elite potential that some of the other guys I just mentioned before will have. I think he's a great top 6 player, could be a great 55, 60-point players down the road. I don't think he has that 75-point plus elite player potential. I think either Svechnikov, Zadina, or Wahlstrom will have that upside. I don't think Brady Tkachuk will have that, so that's why I think he slide a bit at number 9. But the New York Rangers will still be very happy to add him to a great overall, prospect pool for the Rangers. So at number 10, the Edmonton Oilers will absolutely need to draft a defenseman. If you ask me, Noah Dobson makes a lot of sense. Him at number 10 is also a pretty good pick. We've seen him play all year long in the QMJHL. I think it makes sense for the Edmonton Oilers to pick him a right-handed shot as well. I think, again, he's not quite NHL ready, but he could be very soon, maybe 2 years down the road. I think he's going to play maybe another year in the queue. We've seen him play 35, 40 minutes game in the playoff in the Memorial Cup. He was great, so I think it makes sense. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes higher, to be honest, but I think if he's there at number 10, it makes a lot of sense for the Edmonton Oilers to pick him. So here we start the back-to-back of the New York Islanders. I think they absolutely need to draft a defenseman, and on top of that, they will need to add a center or a very good forward. So I think it makes sense for me if they pick Ty Smith alongside Barrett Aiden. I think he's a very sneaky good two-way center. He played behind some better players this year in his team in the OHL. So I think if he step ups, we'll have a jump in point next year. But I think he can be a really good second center, and it makes sense for the Islanders to pick him, especially if they think they might not be able to re-sign John Tavares. So Ty Smith and Barrett Aiden makes a lot of sense for me if I'm the Islanders, so I think they might go that route. Now, at number 13, I think the Dallas Stars will go with the exceptional player status in Joe Veleno. I think he didn't quite live up to the expectation that we expect him to be, but I still think he's a great centerman, could be a great guy behind Tyler Seguin in 2 or 3 years as well. Because I just think that the defensive side of things of the Dallas Stars is actually pretty solid. With Ice Cannon coming in, still have Onkai, could develop very well. So I think they're great on that side. They need either a second center or just another winger to help that forward core. So I think Joe Veleno just make a lot of sense. Now at 14 for the Philadelphia Flyers, I think they're going to go for a winger because actually the Philadelphia Flyers, their prospect pool is very good. So I think they can just pick whoever they want at number 14, really whoever they want. I think they might go Joel Farabee. I think he's the best winger available at that spot. Has, definitely top 6 potential for sure, and could slide into the lineup sooner than later. And at number 15 for the Florida Panthers, just to close out that mug draft, I think they're going to go draft a defenseman. I've looked at their prospect, their 1, 2, 3 center-wise is really good, so I don't think they're going to draft a center. Their winger side could be a winger. It was either a defenseman or winger, but I think they may take a small gamble on Bode Wild. Now, this guy was either really good or bad in his season. But overall, he will play for Michigan next year. I think he can have a really good season and could be a very good defenseman 2 or 3 years down the road as well. So I think they take a small gamble on him that shows he did show elite potential, but some nights it was just crap. So that from what I've read on him, he was a big hit or a big miss in some games. But I think they can work with him to develop and make sure he is that elite defenseman. If it wasn't for his bad games, it could go higher than that. But I think if he's still available at 15, it makes sense for the Panthers to draft Bode Wild. So there you go, guys. That's pretty much it. My top 15 mock draft. Feel free to post yours down below. I just love to compare. Now, I'm 99% positive that I'm going to be wrong, except for number 1 and number 2. But it's always fun to do the exercise, to just dig in and see how well could I do. So, of course, trades could happen. I'm not an NHL scout just yet, so I don't know exactly what goes to those teams' mind, but that's just my guess on what would make sense for those teams and my prediction for the top 15. So again, feel free to post those in your comments. Thank you so much for watching. You guys take care. Have an amazing weekend coming up, and I'll see you guys in the next one.